I'm sitting here in a green room during the day at the Orlando Magic Arena in Orlando, Florida, with Dave Williamson, who's a comedian who I've known for 15 years?
Probably, yeah. The South Florida improv days when I was still... I moved out of Florida in 2012, and I definitely worked with you a couple years before that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it has to be close to 15 years, man. It's crazy.
And we're golf buddies. We are, the comedy club in LA buddies. And now I feel another level of closeness having shared a tour bus with you.
Yeah, and I'm top bunk and right over you, so that's even more special.
Yeah. And the masturbation is extreme, I have to say. It's almost violent. And then the crying afterwards?
Yeah. I'm sorry about that. And thanks for letting me throw my tissues down below too, man. It weirds me out keeping them in the bunk with me.
It's the thud noise that it makes. I mean, you're getting some protein going in there.
I could tell you some stories about certain people that have been on the bus.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't think people... Actually, those curtains do a pretty good job of, like, for the dudes that we have on that bus, it should just be a hall of snoring.
Yeah.
But once you close your curtain, you don't really hear a whole bunch.
Yeah, yeah. We woke up today at 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
After like, here's the thing that's funny is Bert spends a lot of time planning, like, oh, we're gonna jet ski, but should we go play golf with John Daly? And then you wake up at 2 in the afternoon and go like, I guess we're just getting ready for the show tonight.
During the Hot Summer Nights tour, he was paying somebody to actually coordinate activities for us because we were writing it off as content. We were filming everything, right?
Yeah.
And there were so many cool things, and it was hard too because it was it was during COVID, so it was hard to find stuff to do. You know?
Yeah.
And she did such a good job of finding things for us to do while being COVID safe and organizing it. And almost every morning we'd wake up and go, cancel the kayaks. Cancel the kayaks. We're going back to bed.
It's the cancel the kayaks tour.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we were up. We had a fun night. First of all, that's probably the biggest show you've ever done, right?
For sure. 15,000 people last night.
I think it was more than that.
It felt like more. Those arenas are nuts too because they say a number and then they just like shove more people into seats.
Right.
I mean, they just keep opening up sections and
it was
a lot.
Berts' hometown. It was Tampa, Florida, and we were in the arena that the Tampa Bay Lightning play in, and it was very moving. I mean, Bert got with the under-over. We were taking bets on how many times Bert would cry during the performance. The under-over was 4, and I think he actually hit 4 once his mother got on stage.
Yeah, at least 4. Yeah, at least 4. He might have hit 5.
And he secretly, we shouldn't say this on the podcast because he wasn't supposed to, but he very quietly and discreetly showed the trailer for his new film to 15,000 people and asked them not to leak it.
Yeah.
And
so far, from what we could tell, everyone's listened.
Nobody's leaked it.
Yeah.
Literally, and they were shooting, there's an unbelievable video crew that Bert has assembled here. I mean, there's a team of people, and they were all shooting the crowd on different cameras. And we were looking at the footage this afternoon, and nobody had their phones out. Yeah. Nobody was filming it.
Everyone was enjoying the moment. Everybody but me. My job was to go up and try to secretly film his parents' reaction to it.
That's great.
So I just looked like a creep next to his mom and dad like this.
But the studio said that they would send him the footage, but he had to. He said he just wants to show it to his parents, and they made him swear he would not leak it. And so he said, and true to that, he said, I'm just going to show it. And then he goes, Mom and Dad, here's the trailer to my new video because they were in the audience. And then he played it on the Jumbotron.
Well, the cool thing about last night was, it's Bert's hometown, obviously. And I've done a lot of shows with Bert. I've been on majority of his shows in the past 4 tours over the past 4 years. And then I did clubs with him before that. And we've been through Tampa before. We've done the comedy club in Tampa. We've done the Tampa Theater. We did another I think a bigger theater last year, and now the arena. And it's always kind of cool, you know, for a homecoming, and he's brought his mom and dad on stage before. One year at Tampa Theater, his dad came out and took his shirt off.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, his dad never watches his show. That last night was the first time his dad actually watched his show. His dad he like can't watch, you know. And so last night his dad actually sat and watched the show. But so his dad was back in the green room and was just hanging out with me at the Tampa Theater, and he looked at me and he goes, I should go take my shirt off. And I was like, you totally should. And so we talked to the tour manager at the time, and we were like, all right, I think it would be best during this after this bit. So Bert was about to end a bit about his dad. His dad just walked out like he was mad about the story, and Bert turned and was like, what are you doing out here, Dad? And then his dad just rips his shirt off, and the place went nuts.
That's amazing.
But what was cool about last night is that the Bert's show is like evolved into an event, right? Because they have the mascot. They have the tops off cam, which is one of the funniest things ever.
They have a video camera going through the crowd, and men rip their shirts off.
Yep. Yeah. They have a DJ. Bert did almost 2 hours last night. He showed the trailer. So last night, it wasn't just you're going to a show. Last night was like an event.
How about 16,000 people singing the national anthem?
Yep.
and My Country 'Tis of Thee.
Yeah. Yeah, his show is a ride at this point.
Yeah,
you know? And what was
and the headliner's crying 4 times during the set. Yeah. You're getting your money's worth.
So I think last night, like I was listening during lunch when everyone was recapping our experience last night. I think even though his parents have been to big shows and Bert's been on TV and they know that their son's, you know, successful, I think last night was like another level where you just go, wow, look what you've accomplished.
Yeah.
So I think last night was special because it was just. No denying the milestones that he's reached to put on an event like that last night.
Yeah, and he felt it. And what's nice is when you see people have milestones like that and they feel it.
Yeah,
and they're in the moment, and that's a special thing. And like he said to me this morning, he's like, "How long will I continue to feel joy?" I was like, wow, that's an interesting thought to have the morning after like the greatest night. And like, I think he's realizing like it can't get any better. He's like, the last 4 years have just been unbelievable.
Well, the thing that's cool about Bert is that he finds ways to reinvent or remanufacture the same feelings, but in different ways. So like, for example, Tops Off Cam was what they do before the show where they they usually find big dudes in the audience, and they put them on the Jumbotron, and then it says Tops Off, and then that guy rips his shirt off and starts dancing. You know, it's like the Kiss Cam, but with just big dudes ripping their shirt off like Bert does, and everyone loves it. And that's the same, it's a bigger, more grandiose way of doing it, but it's the same feeling that I saw and experienced 7 years ago when Bert was working clubs, and Bert would sit there and he'd sell his own merch and do meet and greets after the shows. Yeah. And every dude there would wait for as long as it took to meet Bert, and they all wanted to take their shirt off and take a picture with him. And here's guys that haven't taken their shirt off since an 8th grade pool party. Yeah. And this is the first time they felt pride in their adult life. And they couldn't wait to take that photo and put it on Instagram and show all their friends that they took their shirt off with the machine. So he's empowering these big, heavy-set dudes to be proud of their bodies. And it's just cool that he's figured out new ways to do it over and over again, you know?
Yeah, he's made people feel like it's okay to feel joy. Like, that's what this tour is. It's like people are at a party. And it's not just, you know, drinking is a big part of it. But it's more than that. It's just it's a guy who like loves his wife, loves his kids, misses them, wishes he was home more. But so you feel like you kind of feel his vulnerability about that. And you know, like he had a nice talk with his wife this morning, and you know they're just talking about how much they both wish that she had been here last night. Yeah. But you know she's running the Girl Scouts back at home, and you know it's very vulnerable. He puts it all out there, and people respond to the fact that he's not holding back anything.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's an open book, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So I think people really appreciate the fact that he's a relatable grown child dad, like most of us are in our heart. So he's
Meanwhile,
definitely a relatable dude.
The dangers and the perils of being on the road, and the women that there are a lot of around, I mean, and you know, and the fact that he's a married guy, and the guys that are opening for him are all in relationships, married or otherwise, and it's not that kind of tour. But the bitches are still out there.
Temptation is around every corner.
Yeah.
I loved when I first started working with Bert. It was the best because it's totally my sensibilities. I'm like, I always want to go out and have beers. I always want to be around people and meet people and go to the bars and cause a scene and, you know, tell stories and all that. But, you know, Bert was married. I was married. We both had young kids. So it wasn't like we were going to the nightclub, you know, and like cruising for chicks. It was like, let's go to the bar and shotgun beers with a bunch of bros, like, you know, and I'm like, this is my speed. I can get on board with this, you know.
So what are your favorite fan stories from over the years?
Well, I mentioned it on stage this weekend, but when we did Fully Loaded the first night, we all knew about the Bert mascot, but
the Bert mascot, by the way, is a giant, you know, like what you'd see for a sports team, but it's Bert's face. And somehow with a mouth that looks
like a sex doll.
Yeah, it looks like a sex doll.
So the first night of the tour, we knew about the Bert mascot, but then there was also a Kool-Aid mascot, like trailing the Bert mascot around for like the whole event.
Yeah.
And we were like, afterwards when we're decompressing and having beers, we were like, Bert, that Kool-Aid mascot was genius. Like, you didn't tell us about that. And the whole team was like, we don't know who the hell that guy was. Like, that guy just showed up. He was just a fan that showed up, and he never sat in his seat and watched the show.
Hilarious.
He ran around and worked the whole time. We were like, can he follow us around the rest of the time? And I don't know, man. There's just, I'd have to.
That is funny though, that you can show up to a concert, and if you just dress like, you know,
like you belong.
Well, they call it dress blacks when you're working backstage. You wear all black, and you know, you wear some black sneakers, and if you walk in, no one's gonna I mean, believe me, there is a lot of security.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe this doesn't hold water. You'd have to do it well. I mean, the amount of jobs that exist on a tour like this, where you come into an arena, and from the time you get here in the morning until the show starts, there's a couple dozen people sitting on folding chairs, just on their phones.
Yeah.
Just that's security.
Well,
and there's nobody around.
Yeah. So some of my favorite fan memories are, one, on the Fully Loaded tour. I mean, the Hot Summer Nights tour, which was the one we did at drive-in movie theaters during the pandemic. Yeah. People were so grateful and so excited to have something to go to, because this was like the only thing happening. Like, you know, we were like test subjects to go out and prove that you could tour in a safe manner without being irresponsible.
Yeah.
And help people make money, which was really cool. All the people that worked, the people that you're talking about that sit in chairs and that worked the production and everything, they were like coming over to Bert and going, thank you, man. Like, this is the first time I've worked in months.
Yeah.
Like, thanks for having the balls to go do this, you know, and also doing it in a safe way. And the fans would show up early because it was first come, first serve as far as where your parking spot was.
Yeah.
So the fans would show up early and be parked along, because the gate wasn't open yet. They'd park along the highway and were tailgating for hours out by the highway. And then when they were getting ready to open the gate, they'd throw all their tailgate shit back in the car and then pull in, get their parking spot, and then pull all their tailgate shit back out again, tailgate for a few hours inside. And we'd get in the golf cart, and I'd drive the golf cart, and Bert would stand up on the back, and we'd just rip through every now and then, and he'd be like, and we couldn't stop because then everyone would want to come up and take a photo. We had to keep distance from everybody. But we just rolled through. And then after, when everyone was drunk and they were getting ready to pull out, we'd do the same thing. We'd get on the golf cart, we'd go run around. And then people were drunk, so they wanted to come get a picture with Bert. So they'd start running. So it was a challenge. I'd have to like look where I could like keep the golf cart from stopping, you know? And then it would end up being like a horde of zombies following us. Because we wanted to say hi to everyone and show appreciation, but we did not want to get swamped with people, you know? So I just had to pick lanes so we didn't get boxed in.
No, it's crazy. Like, I went up, the fans are so into it. Like, last night I went up, I wanted to see what it looked like from the cheap seats. So I went all the way to the back and all the way up, and I'm in the hallway walking out to, I couldn't get to a spot where I could look down the show because so many people were coming up and just, I mean, I'm used to performing, and I'm used to fans being around.
Yeah.
But usually they're just like, hey, man, you were great. Can I get a selfie? This was more like, holy shit.
Yeah. I think, well, first of all, it's a testament that a guy with your resume and the respect that you have and the things you've accomplished in this industry, it's so cool that you'd come out and spend the weekend opening and being a part of these shows.
Yeah.
So, that's a testament to both what Bert's built and to you. But his Bert's fans are the best. I've been lucky enough to do some other big shows with big comics and do theater shows and whatever. And I feel like the vibe on those is always like, hey, we paid money to see the famous guy. We're not really here for the opener, you know? So it's actually harder when you get in bigger shows with famous people. Whereas Bert's fans are the opposite. From day one, they've always been like, we can't wait to see who Bert brought. Like you get a little bit of a not credibility, but it's like he's anointed you like, hey man, I'm only going to bring good comics.
Right.
Everyone knows that Bert's never going to bring boring people or bad comics so that he looks better. Like Bert's going to always bring great comics.
Oh my God.
So
yeah. Like
the fans know that. Like his fans are true comedy fans, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, he brings people like Shane Gillis was here. We partied with Shane Gillis till 4 a.m. on the tour bus. And he was on the tour with the last tour with you guys. He's brought Dave Attell on the tour. Who were the other big guys?
So the Fully Loaded tour, it was just that. It was loaded. It was Shane Gillis. It was Mark Norman. It was Nikki Glazer. It was Dave Attell, Uncle Joey. It was Taylor Tomlinson, Fortune Feemster. Man, who am I forgetting? There was Adam Weber.
Damn.
Dustin Nickerson. There was just every comic was awesome.
Wow.
Every comic was awesome.
Yeah.
Well, my other thing that I love about Bert's fans and something that Bert's done over the years, and it's obviously grown, is from day one, Bert's always been about hanging out with the fans, right? So even before he was famous, and it was probably people who just got like tickets from the radio station to come out to his show, I've heard stories from the comedy clubs where they go, Bert would keep people here in the bar, like out after the show, and he would organize bar games. And the comedy club would make a whole nother round of drink money on keeping people there, because Bert knew that if they sold a lot of drinks that they'd book them back, And
I think I heard, and I don't know if you can confirm this, but that Bert was the first comedian to start taking a part of the beverage sales at the theaters that he was playing.
You'd have to ask him that, because I don't know what in his business he wants out there. But that's definitely.
He's a guy that comes in and like Attell, they go, "Wow, you had triple the drink sales," and he just saw that as like, well, then why aren't I getting some of the action? Yeah.
Well, I think it started back in the day where Bert just knew that's how he could make the comedy clubs happy,
Yeah.
And it evolved into then like if there wasn't a situation where they could stay at the club, then he'd just tell all the audience members, hey, where's a bar nearby we can go? And they'd be like, oh, whatever, it's called across the street. And so after the show, we'd all go across the street and hang out with fans and drink beers and whatever. And once we got into theaters, it really evolved. There's 2,000 people, and he's like, where should we go? And they'd yell out a bar name, and he was like, and so it would be like a bar rescue stress test. There would be some bar that was like had 10 people in there. We're having a slow Thursday night, and then it's like 600 people, whoosh, and they're like, what the fuck is happening? You know? And then we'd wait like 30 minutes for it to settle, or 45 minutes. We'd eat our dinner and have a water or something after the show, and then we'd be like, let's go. And then we'd walk into the bar, and everyone would go, whoa! And then everyone would start putting on their stories, and then more people would flood over, you know? So my favorite one was, we weren't able to do that during the pandemic, obviously, right? And then once things started getting to the point where we felt comfortable going out and doing that at a bar, we were in some small town, I want to say in maybe Pennsylvania somewhere, some little teeny tiny town. And we went to lunch at this pub, right, that was close to the venue, and it was the only thing in that area. And so the waitress was a joy. She was just a ball buster. She was giving everyone nicknames, you know, and like she was the kind of person where if you were like, hey, where's your restroom? And she's like, why, you got to take a shit? You know, take your little dick to the restroom, you know, like just busting balls. We're like, we love this lady. So Bert told her, like, if I bring hundreds of people down here tonight at 9 o'clock, will you be open? She goes, well, we're supposed to close at 9. She's like, but if you promise me that you're bringing that amount of people down here, I'll call extra staff in and I will be here. And he's like, we'll be here. And she goes, if you don't show up, I'm gonna cut your dick off. And he's like, I'll be here. So that night he shouted it out on stage. And by the time we got down there was cops setting up a perimeter, and nobody else could fit into this place. It was chaos.
Yeah.
So normally we could find a little corner where we could kind of at least be isolated and be safe.
Yeah.
There was nowhere to stand. So they let us get behind the bar.
Oh,
and the
great.
The bar was a big horseshoe, right? So it was Mans, our cameraman. It was Bert. It was me. We probably had one other opener. So our whole crew was behind the bar. These bartenders couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah.
And so they were telling me, they were just like, just grab whatever beers you guys want. Take care of yourselves, right? So we're pouring our own beers. And then the fans were just like, Dave. I mean, they were so excited to be out. And so they're like, Dave, get us a beer. And I'm like, I can't do that, man, right? So I look at the bartender and I go, hey, can I sell beers for you guys? These fans, you can't get to everybody. They go, whatever you want to do it. So I just look at them and some of their beers are probably $4. Some of their beers are probably $7. I go, $5 cash, any beer, right? And I sold these dudes $500 worth of beer. I was just taking cash, shoving it in my pocket, and handing them beers, right? I didn't even let them. I was picking the beer for them. I didn't care, and they were just happy to get beers. They were just like, boom, boom, boom. Some guy would throw me a 20 and just be like, whatever you want. I just give them one beer.
Yeah.
So at the end of the night, I walked over with this wad of cash and I put it in that lady's hand and I go, here you go. I go, I did a little work for you tonight. She's like, oh my God. So we were bartending.
I love it. It's like if you go on tour with I don't know the comic who's single and getting laid these days, but say you're Crystalia and you're on tour, you're gonna get women. If you go on tour with Bert Kreischer, you're gonna get dudes that want to drink a beer with you.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's it, frat bros.
All right, listen, Dave. We're gonna wrap it up because I'm gonna try to talk to Mark, the other feature on the show, and then also we'll see if Bert's got a minute for us. But Dave Williamson is a killer comic who goes into these arenas.
Look how good my guns are.
The guns are big. Yeah. He's a former water polo player, current barbecuer, and one of the best comics I've ever worked with. And he goes up and destroys in these arenas. And he's just the greatest dude. So do you want to plug your podcast?
Yeah, I have a podcast with comedian Forrest Shaw, is one of my oldest buddies in comedy.
That's a guy I met through you in Florida 15 years ago.
Yep. We call it the Mermen Podcast because we both have aquatic backgrounds. Like you mentioned, I played water polo and grew up on boats in Miami and stuff. And Forrest used to be a marine biologist. So we called it the Mermen Podcast. Also a little tongue-in-cheek because we're both dads with dad bellies. Well, he's not a dad, but he just has a dad bod. Yeah. And we're both dumpy 40-year-old dudes. So just kind of funny that it's got a...
And gay.
Yeah, very gay. So be careful that you don't put Merman Podcast because that's a podcast that's out there. It's a dude living his life as a merman.
No.
And then there's also the Mormon Podcast. Don't put that in. That's very different.
And yours is the what?
Mermen Podcast.
Mermen, not merman. Yeah. Okay.
And then I also have Meet Dave, which is my barbecue podcast. MEAT Dave. Also, you could accidentally end up on a gay podcast with that one too, but
hey, that's where we all end up anyway.
Yeah.
You surf the internet long enough, that's where you're going to end up.
One wrong turn. And then I want to come back on your podcast sometime and talk about you, Greg, because I have a lot of great stories about you from over the years.
Oh,
so
yeah?
Let's do it again.
All right.
And we can make it about you.
That sounds awesome. All right, man. Thanks a lot.
See you in the bunk beds.
That was great. Dave Williamson. You can check him out live at the Tempe Improv coming up this Friday. Go to davewilliamson.com. That's February 24th. I'm going to be coming to you my great annual, I think it's got to be the 16th or 17th year in a row I've done my St. Patrick's Day show at the Hollywood Improv. March 17th, 2 shows. Also coming to St. Louis April 1st, Escondido, April 14th through 15th. That's in San Diego area. Columbia, Missouri, May 19th. Kansas City, May 20th. Boston, Laugh Boston, June 16th and 17th. Go to Fitzdog.com. Get your tickets. It's no arena, but they're fun little clubs, and we're going to have a blast. Also want to remind you guys to support the sponsor, HelloFresh. Get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. I used it. My wife just took on a new client. You know, she's a doula, and I've been doing a lot of the cooking at home and thankfully received a nice shipment from HelloFresh. Banged out a pasta dish one night, a chicken dish the next night, mixed it up. I told her I made it myself. She called bullshit. I said, okay, fine. I got it from HelloFresh. She sensed the quality. It's fast and fresh recipes, robust flavors, and it takes like less than 15 minutes. Taste and quality, falafel power bowls, seared steak and potatoes with béarnaise sauce, Southwest pork and beans burritos. I mean, it's amazing, and they're constantly adding new recipes. You can basically, you're skipping the trip to the grocery store. You're skipping all the anxiety of not having the right ingredients, the right amount of the ingredients. It's pre-measured. It makes it the fun part of cooking without the pain in the ass where you forget stuff. You get about 40 weekly recipes to choose from, so you can say bye-bye to your recipe rut and treat yourself and your family to exciting new flavors every week. I can't say enough good stuff about it. So go to HelloFresh.com/Fitzdog65, the number 65. Use code Fitzdog65 for 65% off, plus free shipping. HelloFresh.com/Fitzdog65. Use code Fitzdog65 for 65% off plus free shipping. Look, this is HelloFresh. This is America's #1 meal kit. There's a reason why. You're going to love it. Okay, so we just talked to Dave briefly. The other act, there's 3 of us opening up for Bert. I'm going to talk to the other guy real briefly here. Mark Smalls, and then we got Bert coming in. That should be fun. So enjoy that. Hey now, welcome to the Bert Kreischer. What's he calling this tour?
Tops off.
Tops off, because men take their tops off. Women, sadly, keep them snugly on.
Yeah, they do.
Do women ever take their tops off? Well, first of all, let me say hello to my guest. Mark Smalls has been on the tour for a while, right?
Yeah, since Europe for sure.
Yeah.
So it's been a month and a half. And it's been I'm tired.
In that time, have any women taken their tops off?
I think there have been, but the thing is, they try to shy away from it. So sometimes a cameraman may be untrained, and he'll go to the woman, and they may do that. I haven't seen it, but I've heard. Yeah, I've heard horror stories.
Right,
because there would be nothing worse than a beautiful, big-breasted lady to take those things out.
It would be a shame.
It would be a travesty.
Well, it
would be disgusting.
It
Greg.
goes against the mildly homoerotic feel of the tour. Let's not kid ourselves. This tour.
No, that's so true, because at least I would say like 35% of the green rooms, there's like a group of 7 to 10 men with their shirts off that I walk in on. Yeah. You know? And it's like, are we filming an OnlyFans video?
There's a lot of touching. There's a lot of crying. It's like what was it? You remember when the men in the 90s used to go into the woods and beat drums and cry and hug each other? It's a little bit like that. And how is
there's not a lot of touching.
No.
I don't think Bert's a very touchy guy. He's a softie. Yeah. But there's not a lot of touching. It's just like men crying, looking tough at each other, you know, with their shirts on.
What's now you went around Europe with Bert. You went all over the place. What was the toughest show? Last night we did 16,000 people who were lovely and giving. What was the toughest show that you've had?
Oh, what was tough? I think like Norway was pretty tough. It was the first show of the Europe run. They're not an English speaking country, so it wasn't like nothing was like bombing, but it wouldn't get a laugh. It would just get like clapping.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't do that to me.
No, don't clap for me. I'm not a golfer. No, you are a golfer.
I am a golfer, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Have you played golf on the tour at all? Any of these tours?
No.
Really?
We went to a Top Golf. Yeah. Well, and I think that's why I got booked on the tour too, which was funny because when Bert was booking the tour, it was like through Ireland and Scotland.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna play some golf. We should bring Mark. It'll be great. We'll go golf." And then like a month out, he was like, "Yeah, so we bringing golf clubs?" He's like, and his like team was like, "Dude, it's fucking winter.
Yeah.
Like there's snow on the ground."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh shit." And they're like, "Do you want us to unbook Mark?" He's like, "Nah, it'll be fine."
And then
so that's how I snuck in there.
You
bro.
snuck in, but then you kept your way in because goddamn, you play these arenas and you're not a big, loud, raucous comic like Bert.
No.
You're a guy who like you stay in your own pocket. You're like a subtle, interesting, funny comic who happens to work really well in big venues.
Thank you, Greg. That means a lot.
Yeah,
coming
you've
from
been
you.
killing.
Thank you.
You've been killing.
It's been a lot of fun. I try to stay in the pocket as much as I can. My top stays on.
Yeah.
But I do like to yell, you know.
Uh-huh.
I'm an angry guy.
Yeah.
Not like I don't want to be an angry comic, but it is fun to play around with your voice in these big arenas.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
where like you can let it pause and then kind of ramp up a little bit.
Right.
But other than that, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah.
This is like the 5th, 6th big arena venue that I've done. Maybe a couple more, but
yeah.
Still, every time I come off, I'm like,
no,
was that good?
I saw you kill last night, and then as you walked off and you walked past, and you went, I kind of lost him at the end, and I was like, I don't think you did.
You don't, but you can't.
It's hard. It is hard to gauge because in a nightclub, you can see all their faces.
You can see all their faces.
You can feel.
The feel is much different.
There's not a feel in an arena.
Not really.
You put your shit out there,
and then you kind of
you just kind of keep putting it out there. Like there's not a lot of applause breaks. I mean, Bert gets applause breaks, so I think maybe I get one. As opposed to in a club where you would get multiple.
You would get multiple.
But there, it's like it's high ceilings and the energy kind of filters up instead of staying, contained and connected to. You don't get that conductivity that you would get in a club.
No, that immediate like response of this works, bam, it comes right back at you.
Yeah, right.
Or at least like a good club with good acoustics. The arena, I mean, it's almost. We were talking last night. If you go out and watch the whole crowd, it's like each little section has its own ecosystem of reaction.
Yeah.
Like everything, it'll like permeate. So obviously nothing's going to come immediately. But I mean, there's 15,000 people.
No, it's like at an orgy. Like when there's too many people, you come and they don't know that you came over there.
Yeah, unless it unless you come really well.
Yeah,
and then
those days are over for me.
Really?
No,
I never had it.
No, I never had it.
I
see some of these porn stars blasting a foot away, and I go, Jesus Christ, what am I not drinking?
No, what is it? Is it a substance that they're taking?
Yeah.
Because
I heard
I never had it.
Peter North was famous for drinking what kind of juice was he drinking? Papaya or something. Pineapple juice.
Yeah, but that just makes it taste better.
But he swore it also made it fly further in the air. Should we get a shot of Bert taking a shower inside over here? Oh, gross. Yeah. Look at him.
We're all going to have warts on the bottom of our feet from this fucking place.
I know.
Oh, really? Is that painful? Yeah. I hear they're really, because I watched the digging out the videos.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, that's fucking my favorite thing.
Oh,
my
God,
dude.
All right, so Bert, we're talking about this tour. We're talking about what could have been. Here, you want to hand him the mic for a second?
Yes.
What could have been the greatest night of your life last night? Up there, where would you rank it in the greatest nights of your life?
So the greatest day of my life was my 40th birthday. I was in Australia. I was the skinniest I'd been as an adult, and I was working for Travel Channel. I just signed like a 2-year deal, so I knew money was coming in. And Leanne was there, and I was playing at Bondi Beach in the surf, and it was crystal clear, and it was ice cold. And that, I've always remember isolating that as the greatest day of my life.
Yeah.
Yesterday beats it with a crocodile chasing it down the road.
Yeah.
It is fucking, yesterday was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yesterday started with a great workout. Walking in and seeing how big the place was, a great workout.
Working out in the actual training
in the
facility
Lightning's training
for the
facility.
Lightning.
Going in, seeing how big it is, getting permission at the fucking buzzer for me to screen my trailer at the Amalie Arena. Going in, seeing how it was going to be screened, getting so excited about that. Going over to my high school, taking batting practice with a bunch of kids that fucking look at me like, because I party and everything, they look at me like, this is the fucking guy. And I fucking hit a home run.
That was out of this world, because you were talking about it and I was thinking, oh, that's a funny joke. Bert's talking about hitting a home run at his age, at his weight, at his level of intoxication.
Yeah.
He's going to hit a home run. And it was a deep...
Nonetheless. Wooden bat, nonetheless.
And a deep field. It wasn't a shallow outfield.
320 down left field fence.
Yeah. Into the wind.
Into the wind. I remember you said the wind. You don't have the wind in your back, Bert.
Yeah, right. Shit.
I rolled up I rolled up to Jesuit. It was my alma mater, and everything had changed so much. I was overwhelmed. I was like, this doesn't look real. This doesn't look like I remembered it to be. And then I see this guy Brian Callahan, who was my first friend I ever met in my entire life in first grade. First grade, the first guy he said, do you want to be friends? I said, yes. He's there with his son. And he's like, dude. So I see Steve Matezik. Known him since 9th grade. Know his kids. All of a sudden they take me into the Hall of Fame, which is their thing, and I'm on the wall. My team's on the wall.
Yeah.
Twice.
Along with, there's some big major league
Dave
players.
Magadan, Lou Piniella.
Lou Piniella went to your high school.
Lou Piniella went to my high school. But Jesuit was a hotbed for talent for a period, and now they really are. Now all these kids are going to college on scholarships. But I also saw the guy I went to college with and I lived with, and his sons were there. His sons both play at Jesuit, but one of his sons is going to Ole Miss and one's younger. But I'm looking at all this going down, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. I got a little intimidated, and I was like, man, I don't mind doing this in front of minor league guys, because this is gonna sound really shady, but I can make myself look like a fool, because I know they go, well, he's a grown up and he's making money. To children, they go, you're still just a fucking loser.
Yeah.
Exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And so they kept going, Bert, you going to get in there? And I was like, yeah. And then they were like, Bert, do you want Wes? Wes is the kid I know, Wes Mendez.
Yeah.
He's going to Ole Miss next year. And I watched him. He's a pitcher for Jesuit. I followed them win the state championships last year, so I posted about them on Instagram. So I know a lot of these kids just through Instagram. And Wes went up and hit a home run. The highlight was a 14-year-old who went up, hit 3 home runs. They introduced him to me, and they pull me aside. They're like, yo, he's 14, 15. And he throws 95, and I was like, shut the fuck up. And he was like, can I get your daughter's number? And I was like, yeah. If this is 200 years ago, I'd give you a cow to date her. Fuck yeah, you can get my daughter's number. I said, I sent the picture to Isla. I said, this is the guy who wants to date you.
Yeah. You have any nude pics for him?
Oh my God. Send pictures of your feet. So then I get up, I take what would you say, roughly 25 cuts?
Yeah, I guess so.
I definitely...
In decreasing distance, by the way. Yeah, you were starting to fade.
I started to fade. I don't know how it happened. I swear to God, I don't know how it happened. I just got a hold of one, and it fucking went.
Went.
And I was like, please go over. I was so tired. My hands were hurting. My thumbs are dead right now. They're like, I can't use them. And it went over left field fence. I ran the bases. All the kids ran in from the outfield, high-fived them. They all met me at home plate.
Well, yeah, but you're leaving out that you they were shit-talking you when you were at play. And then you started shit-talking them back as you rounded the bases to the point where you were so exhausted you could barely cross home plate. You were so out of breath.
I was out of breath shit-talking these kids. I was fucking, how much money you think I'm making tonight at Amalie, baby? More than your dad. Like, I was fucking, call my ex-girlfriend, tell her I'm a millionaire and I hit dingers. It was fucking, like, at that moment, I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. And then we get back to the Amalie, and my parents show up. Cowhead shows up. Everyone starts showing up, and I realize the scope of it as I'm watching it fill in. My dad's never seen me do stand-up, but in a weird way, I'm oddly...
Your dad had never seen you do stand-up?
Last time was the first time he's ever seen me do stand-up.
What the fuck?
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that fucking crazy?
Why is that?
It makes him nervous. It made him very nervous. Last night, he tried to get my mom to stop recording. My mom was recording me walking on stage. He goes, honey, you're going to get in trouble. You're going to get us in trouble. My mom's like, we know the fucking guy.
Yeah. We got an in.
Yeah, I think we have an out.
Yeah.
And so he had never seen me do stand-up. And then as I watched you guys progressively kill, I went, oh, this is a really hot room. Like, this is like, they're like fucking at it. Like,
yeah.
They're like dogs chomping at the bit. And I'm so lucky the way I get on stage, because the way I get on stage, it makes you feel artistic, because they squat you down in the back, and you everyone else comes on the side, but they squat me down in the back, and I got JJ with me. He's like, you ready, boss man? And I'm like, yeah. And then I get to look up at the fucking center of the arena, whatever arena we're at, I can see it. It's really a surreal experience. And then I hear Fortunate Son. I come out, and I am waterworks for like fucking, I mean, honestly, like probably a solid minute and a half. I kill the beer, I throw my shirt off, they're just cheering. And then this will make me emotional. I just go, it's good to be home. And the place goes,
no, you got a second standing ovation.
Yeah.
You got a standing ovation when you walked on, and then they sat down, and then you said that, and they stood up again.
Yeah. And then I was like, I got to disconnect from my emotions.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to get through this set. And from that moment, honestly, until from that moment for 20 minutes, I don't remember a thing. I just remember everything was hitting so hard. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to follow this. I'm not going to be able to follow what I'm doing.
Right.
I got to slow this energy down. And then it's slow. It got. I told a slower story to try to bring them, and then it popped back up, and then I did the thing that we worked out backstage about how to introduce the trailer.
Yeah.
That fucking blew up, and then brought my parents on stage for a standing ovation with the lights, did the fucking national anthem. I mean, it was like, everything was just like boom, boom, boom. Got off stage, and then fucking Derek Brooks was there.
Yeah.
Who I fucking idolized in college. He was played for the Bucks also. Then he tells me, he goes backstage to meet my dad, and Derek Brooks says to my dad, he's come so far, hasn't he? And my dad's like, well, I've never seen him do stand-up. And Derek Brooks says to my dad, I was at his very first stand-up show.
No
and my
shit.
Dad's like, what? And he goes, Potbellies. I went with Miles. We went and watched you do stand-up for the very first time. And now to see you from there to here, I'm going like,
whoa.
you know who the fuck I was?
Damn.
And so he was great, man. He was so generous. He was hung out with my parents and the people that won the meet and greet, and then came backstage. Mike Allstott was there. Wade Boggs analyzed my swing. He was like, took my swing, and he was like, okay, you're throwing your hands out quick. You're breaking your wrist. Great. I love your extension. Full extension. Look at this right here. This is the best part of your swing right here. From there it goes bad, but from right here, you're doing everything right.
Really?
Yeah. And then I saw everyone, and then I've been worried that I have like the dementia, because I never remember anyone's name. Not only that, I say people by their wrong names all the time.
Yeah.
Like so badly that I go, is this like a problem? And last night I was like, Paula, Mike, Charla. I knew everyone's name. I didn't forget one name. I was talking people I haven't seen in 30 fucking years.
Yeah.
And people are like, I can't believe Bert remembers my name. And I'm like, you're the only names I remember.
Right.
I don't remember anyone's fucking name.
Dude, I'm like that too. Like when I see people from junior high school, they always go to me like, why do you remember all this shit? It's like, I don't know, back then maybe emotionally we're just more in touch with ourselves or something.
I think so. But yeah, and then, I talked, my parents were there. My dad's like, Wade Boggs. Wade Boggs sat in his suite with him.
Yeah.
My dad's like, you know fucking Wade Boggs? And
Yeah.
I was like, because he was like a Tampa hero.
Was there a moment with your dad where he said something that was meaningful?
Dude,
He
hold on. there's a moment after the show, you do the thing, you walk up, everyone turns their phone lights on. You're like, I'm going to take a picture with my parents. You bring your parents back up, and then you go, I'm going to take a picture by myself. And then you go, Mom, Dad, come over here. Mom comes right over to take the picture, and your dad says something, and you go, come over here. And your dad goes like, Dad, something like, just like a classic dad, like, you do this. And it's like, yo, Dad, for once in your life, can you just fucking come here? And he's still like, you're at the pinnacle, and he's still being like,
no,
just
buddy,
that
I'm good. I'm really close to this edge of the stage. I don't want to be that close to the edge of the stage.
Yeah, dude. And like, I just watching that, I'm like, oh, well, good to know that it'll never change.
Oh, it never changes. I mean, we had a great talk today, where he was very like, he was very glowing. But like, last night, he does this thing. He doesn't like, I don't know the right way to say it, but he doesn't like showiness. Like, he's not like a showy guy. So he's not like a braggart.
Yeah.
So to put his arm around me and be like, that's my kid, he's not that guy.
Right.
He'd be like, I don't really think he said anything last. He said, can you take a picture with my friends? And then he was like, it wasn't like he was not happy, but you could tell it was all of it made him very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And we came backstage, I sat backstage, and I was like in the afterglow of it, and he goes, I gotta get going. And I'm like, huh? He's like, I mean, there's people, we're with a bunch of old people, they're probably tired. And I go, well, you want to hang out for just a little bit? And he's like, yeah, we can hang out for a little bit. And I'm like, okay. And I was like, yeah, I'm not coming down for a while. Like, and he was like, okay, yeah, so that's amazing. That's a lot of people. Like, he just doesn't, he's not like, he's afraid that if he goes, look what my son did, then that's a reflection of how you'll feel about your child.
Uh-huh.
And so, like, he doesn't ever want to do that to anyone. He wants everyone to feel awesome about everyone's their own accomplishments.
Yeah.
So my dad, and I think it's because my dad, I don't know why. I don't know why he's like that, but he definitely.
What did he do for a living?
He's a lawyer.
Oh, Jesus,
But
really?
very humble lawyer.
Uh-huh.
Like.
Would he help poor people and shit?
No, rich people.
Oh,
rich
good.
People. He definitely helped rich
Yeah.
people. No, but he's like, he's not a flashy guy. He's just not a flashy guy.
Yeah.
And so he didn't. Yeah. It was interesting. I talked to him on the phone today, and they both cried on the phone.
No.
Yeah, and they were like,
all right, that's a moment.
Yeah, today on the phone they did. But I think he may. I don't know. There's just so many complexities in our relationship, and then also he'd never seen me do stand up. He said for the first like 10 minutes he couldn't even look at it.
Yeah.
He just had to be in the back. He's like, I was afraid you're gonna start bombing.
Yeah.
I was like, Dad, you don't get to an arena and bomb.
Yeah.
Like, you don't. Like, I know exactly what I'm doing up there.
Well, Dave Williamson bombed last night. So is there the thing that the asterisk about last night being such a great night for you was obviously that your wife wasn't there, and now I heard you guys have a nice conversation this morning.
Oh yeah, well, it's like did you see the body on the chick that had to sign up for Leanne?
No.
I mean, these women that are fans of Leanne's are fucking smoke shows.
Really?
I do not know what they see in my wife. Like,
yeah.
They're fucking gorgeous. That was like that's like a fucking small, like, silent victory is I call her on stage, place goes nuts, and I said, where are you? She goes, I wish I could be there. I go, where are you? And she goes, I'm taking Girl Scouts on a camping trip. And it's like such a fucking, that's why they like her.
Yeah.
Is because she chose to be with 8 girls in a camping trip, then be at the Amalie Arena.
Yeah.
But
and then she got off a huge one. You gave her shit on something, and then she gave you the finger, but she held it right up to the camera, and you had to see it from the back of the room. The jumbotron was just your wife's fist and finger. It looked hilarious.
Yeah, she
killed.
It was such a fucking great night. I ran into so many people that, I mean, there's something very rewarding about, like, people you grew up with going like, I can't believe that you are here. That's such a rewarding feeling where you're like, thank you. And they're like, no, this is amazing. Like, this is crazy. I was like, yeah, I know. You're telling me I'm fucking.
But what's nice is you don't make them feel inferior. Like, I saw you interacting with all of them, and you made every single one of them feel like it could have been the day after graduation. There was no ego.
Oh yeah,
it was really nice.
Yeah, I mean, I've known the people. Most of the people in those green rooms I've known since I was a child.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't think there's any, and they were always. There's the other part that you'll really understand is, like, remember how many times you'd come home to Thanksgiving and you were just a comic?
Yeah.
And you're just a comic. You don't have a TV show. You're not head writing. You're not starring in anything. You're not doing the arena. And they've always been cool to me and, like, excited for me and been supporting me all these years, coming out to the Improv, coming out to Side Splitters. I never did Side Splitters, but coming out to the Improv. And so they've been supporting me for, like, years and excited when I sold out the Improv.
Yeah.
So, like, I think it, yeah.
It is funny. Like, I was walking through this arena this morning, getting my breakfast at 2:00 in the afternoon, and I was thinking to myself, like, just at the scale of what all of this is and the amount of people, the amount of staff, and I thought, me and Bert, at the end of the year, on our tax forms, have the same job title. Both says comedian. But mine is, like, just on such a different scale, and it's just amazing what we've done, because you'll never be called president of the company. You'll never be called, like, you'll never get like, technically a different title. No. It just grew with you doing the exact same thing you've been doing since the beginning. Just add time and a lot of elbow grease.
I always wonder I can't really quantify why this would happen to one person and not all of us. Like, we all, like, me and you can easily say there are dudes way funnier than me. Like, I mean, leaps and bounds funnier than me. I wonder if it's like a brokenness in me that doesn't mind ambition, or, like, I wonder what, because when you said that, I heard you saying that someone, you're like, yeah, we're both comedians, but it's, and I was like, yeah, we are, but, like, wonder why, like, I was thinking about that today. I was like, I don't have, like, there was, like, Shane Gillis was with us last night. He's so talented. Does not like being on camera.
Yeah.
I love being on camera.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if that's part of the thing. Like,
and when he was talking about that, he talked about how when some people try to put you on their Instagram feed or something, you just shy away. Yeah. And he's like, you're the one person that he doesn't mind because it feels so natural with you. Yeah. Like, you're not putting anything on when you do your social media. You're just genuinely excited about every aspect of this.
I get really excited for all the things. Like, I'm excited for tonight. I'm really excited for tonight. But I'm really excited for the Daytona 500 tomorrow. Yeah. And I also don't mind. I wonder, one of the things I don't mind being recognized. I almost enjoy it. Like, it doesn't, like, my buddies last night were like, this has got to be fucking exhausting. I was like, not that bad. That's not that bad. Yeah. It's really cool to see people you haven't seen, and then they go, can I get a picture? We take a picture with my son. You're like, fuck yeah. Yeah. Fuck. I'm always, that's always lost on me when, like, the Seguras or the Toshas or that genre of comic shies away from pictures, and they're like, I'm with my friends. I'm with my family.
No, there's a lack of cynicism with you that comes through, and I think it's like, I think you said to me at breakfast this morning, you go, I wonder if there's going to come a time where I stop feeling joy.
Oh, ooh, that's going to bum me out. I can still access it. So I can access it. If I look up at the top of the arena, I access it because I go, this doesn't happen for everyone. This is super, super special. Make sure to hold on to it, because you're not going to remember. You're not, all these emotions are fleeting. It's hard to access them later, but you can access it right now. Yeah. And so, like, last night getting on stage, I was definitely afraid to talk, so I was afraid I was going to start crying. And so I just was holding it, and then I was like, oh, let yourself cry if you cry. And then yeah, I don't think a lot of comics cry. I cry a lot.
Are you going to cry right now?
I was about to, yeah, I was. I
saw that.
I just stopped it.
Don't stop yourself from crying on Fitzdog Radio. Dude, all my guests cry.
I cried into Derek Brooks's arms last night.
No, you didn't. Really?
He goes, and by the way, it was for the dumbest fucking thing. He goes, "We got you this jersey, and I know you'd like it because it's the Lightning's Gasparilla jersey." And but the way he said it was like, "Cause you." What he meant was, "Cause you grew up in Tampa, and I know this means something to you. It means nothing to me, but you are gonna." And I started crying, and I go, "Are you trying to make me cry?" And he goes, "Yep." And then they got me like Air Force Ones, and then I tried to bring the sandcastle thing with me. It just didn't fall apart. Thanks. Dave.
Oh, right. So let's talk about the movie for a second before you have to get going. Are you going to work out?
I'm going to work out with
Good.
Lucy.
So what's the release going to be like? When's it going to be? What are your expectations?
Crying. Jesus Christ. I have no expectations. I have no expectations because I had no expectations for anything I've ever done. So, like, I think because we fail so much in our career, you just get going like anything above total failure is a home run.
Yeah.
And then it isn't until much later that you go, that actually didn't do too bad.
Yeah.
Like The Cabin, I think Mike and I both thought that was going to be a huge stinker.
Yeah.
And then it got received really well, and people talk about it all the time. Wade Boggs is like, it's my favorite show I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like, for real?
Yeah.
And like Secret Time, I didn't know the Secret Time was better than all my other specials.
Uh-huh.
I was like, I thought that was like, so I have no real expectations for the movie. I know that on my side, I'm gonna like do everything I can to promote it, which will be a huge undertaking. I'm already anticipating some sort of minor infarction or heart attack.
Yeah.
Because I will be pushing it hard. I would love for it to do really well. Ideally, to put it in the universe, I'd love it for it to make like $140 million and then sign on to do The Machine 2 and 3 and just have that be the rest of my career.
What's 2? What does 2
Machine
look
2,
like?
my daughter gets kidnapped by the Mexican Mafia, and the Russian Mafia and I have to team up and fight the Mexican Mafia to get her back.
Yes.
And 3 is my dad. He gets kidnapped. My dad gets kidnapped by the Mafia.
Right.
And me, my daughters, and my wife have to team up with the Russian Mafia and get him back. I told them I'm like in complete and total novice. In making the movie, I think I got on the phone with Mary Parent, told Mary Parent and Hugh. I said, just so you know, I'm willing to do Machine 2 and 3. Like, if you guys want to do that right now, I'm in.
Yeah.
Thinking that I had the Hobbit-esque in me, and they were like, yeah, let's sign up and do all those. And they're like, and I think Mary Parent said, we're gonna wait to see how this one does. But I would love that. I would just love to do the Machine 7. I wouldn't do the Rocky of the Machines.
Yeah.
And just make them more and more crazy, like Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
Where they're taking a Fiera to space in wetsuits.
A Fiera.
You never saw the last one?
No.
They took a Fiera to space in wetsuits. They wore wetsuits. And so I was like, I want this. I want that franchise.
Yeah.
So that's my dream. It's The Machine does really well. And I always just am baby stepping it. Right now, I'm like, I hope everyone likes the trailer. I hope the trailer gets received well.
Yeah.
The trailer comes out next week, technically. And then I hope it makes like 104. Is that 104 million good?
I don't know. I don't know anything about movies.
Like, I don't want it to be.
I'm doing a podcast.
Me too. By the way, I'm going to Daytona to do a podcast tomorrow.
By the way, before we go, it would mean a lot to me, and I think my listeners and my viewers, if you could cry on the podcast, that would mean a lot to me. I
bet I could.
Think for a second about your daughter.
I'll just tell you. I can do it. I can do it right now.
All right.
I can do it right now. You want to watch me cry?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is gonna
By
be
the way,
the clip
God,
that goes out.
This is so
this
horrible.
week.
You go think about your daughters. I was like, that's not going to work.
No, he immediately goes to Wade Boggs.
See the picture of me and Derek Brooks.
Bert, he really loves you.
Who, Wade Boggs? He tried to kiss me last night. I know he loves me.
He likes beer too.
He does.
Yes, he does.
You ready? This is why I can definitely cry. Watch this. This is the intro to the show yesterday.
Yeah.
My mom sent it to me, and she goes, I can't watch this and not cry. him crying at me drinking a beer. I'm like, he drinks it so well. And when the shirt comes off, watch this. What does it say about me that I cry watching myself? That I can watch me watching me. And I'm like, he's so good. He's so good. This guy's got it all. This guy's got it all. He hasn't said anything yet. Then wait till you hear him talk. I don't know what the fuck was wrong with me.
I'm crying. I'm crying too.
You know how hard I'd cry at my funeral? Oh my God.
All right,
I love you,
Bert.
Greg. I'm so glad you did this
Love
with
you
us.
too,
This is a
man.
fucking
Thanks for
blast.
having me.
No, thank you.
All right.